when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Today, highs warmed around 80 with some clouds. The winds will be from the west-southwest around 10 miles per hour. Tonight, lows will be unseasonably mild around 50. Tomorrow, ridge axis will move over the area with highs back into the 90s, again breaking records dating back to 1907. Skies will be sunny with west-northwesterly winds at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Fire watch for Dundee, Hitchcock, and Red Willow counties. Lows again will be around 50. Thursday, highs will top out in the 70. Winds will turn to the north at 30 to 40 miles per hour, and lows will drop below freezing. And if there is any light rain or snow, it would be minor, with less than 10 points of moisture to work with. Friday will be cooler, more seasonal, highs in the upper 50s and lows in the upper 20s. Saturday, gusty west winds, highs around 70. And this meteorologist Chris Schromick of the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Get ready for the 10th annual Schilling Cattle Production Sale that's happening Wednesday, March 25th at 1 p.m. Central Time in Brewster, Kansas. We're selling 50 Angus bulls, 2 Limflex bulls, and 20 Angus heifers. Big Scout performance-driven cattle with an excellent selection of Calvin-Ease bulls. You can check out the cattle on Facebook at Schilling Cattle and watch the sale live on DV Auction. Come see great cattle, meet great people, and enjoy some fantastic food. Mark your calendar now for the Schilling Cattle Production Sale on Wednesday, March 25th.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
Your business was built right here, so was ours. At FNB Bank, we are not run from some distant city. We are run by neighbors, for neighbors. We know what matters to you because it matters to us too. From local decisions to face-to-face service, we are here. Bank local, grow local, stay local. FNB Bank, member FDIC.
Need a porta potty or septic pumping in Northwest Kansas? Call Topside Portables and Pumping, your local family-owned crew. They've got clean, reliable toilets for weddings, farms, and job sites, plus full septic services, RV waste, fertilizer tanks, and more. Available 24/7, because when nature calls, they answer. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. Reliable, local, clean.
At Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic, they believe in promoting healthier living through compassionate quality care. From state-of-the-art maternity care to life-saving emergency services, their dedicated team is there for you and your family. Whether it's managing diabetes, navigating recovery, or receiving specialized treatments, they're committed to your well-being. Discover the difference a community-focused hospital can make. Visit rayhospital.org today to learn more. Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic. Your health, our priority.
Winter weather in northwestern Kansas can change in a hurry. From blowing snow and icy roads to dangerous wind chills, conditions can turn severe before you know it. When storms strike, turn to NWKS Radio, your trusted source for weather alerts and local coverage. Stay safe, stay prepared, and keep your radio tuned right here for the latest updates all winter long. Severe weather on NWKS Radio is courtesy of Roof Masters of Colby, along with Andrew Flanagan of Farm Bureau Financial Services.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4! It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Give me my cane. I'll show you how to play this game.
The High Plains only local sports talk show. Broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Covering it all from the preps to the pros.
Cowgirls hunting them, and they're finding them. Sturgill with another 3.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, along with
Pestaway LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, and the Insurance Agency.
Let's go to work. Out in front, they score again. Go ahead and Sally Parker Kelly.
Parker Kelly says, play me some Taylor Swift. It's 4-1 Avalanche with 2:41 to go in the first.
Nice pitch. Sanderson rips one down the right field line. It is a fair ball down into the corner. Moyer scores. Worthley scores. Sandy thinking 3. Burning around second. And he dives into third with a 2-run triple.
Harden with 5 on the clock. Against the Silva. The drive behind the back. It's Strus. It's a 3, and it's good. What a highlight. The beard to the man bun.
And now McDavid a roller. Score! Connor McDavid answers right back. Somehow able to control a bouncing puck. And Edmonton right back on top.
And good Wednesday morning, everybody. Welcome inside the Morning Blitz here on this March the 25th. A nice, warm 55-degree day to start, and possibly record-breaking temps ahead, with temperatures in the upper 80s to low 90s expected for today, which apparently will break some records if it does happen. But good Wednesday morning. Hope everyone's doing well, up and about, getting around where they need to be here on this Wednesday morning. It is semi-opening day. Major League Baseball season gets underway today with just a single game, with the New York Yankees playing today against, who is it? The Giants, I think is who it is. Pretty sure that's who this opening day matchup is. I think it's Yankees-Giants. But semi-opening day today in Major League Baseball. So yeah, it is. It is New York at the Giants, and that you can watch on, if you have it, Netflix. Because once again, MLB baseball is going to be all over the place this year, especially with television deals. You know, NBC is going to hop in and do some baseball on NBC Peacock. You've got, of course, MLB TV, MLB Network. ESPN is going to get in there as well. You know, Major League Baseball has struggled to get their games televised on a more consistent basis outside of just MLB's TV, where you have to pay almost $200 in a subscription for a season to watch all the games. And we should see them on other channels, it sounds like, here in the 2026 season. But once again, hope everyone is doing very well. We've got a busy show ahead here today. We're going to be joined by former host of the Morning Blitz and good friend, and now the executive director of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, Bryce Kessler, will join us because it's a busy Saturday ahead for the Kansas Shrine Bowl. If you want to call it, they have their Kansas Shrine Duels, the wrestling event that they do every time around this year, at least for the last handful of years that they've done it. And they will be doing that at Newman University here on Saturday. And Bryce Kessler will join us to talk about the Shrine Duels coming up here on Saturday down in Wichita. We'll get to that. Also coming up in today's program, we will look back at some baseball last night. KU with a win. Kansas State, though, with a loss in a crazy Tuesday night game. And more awards for former Goodland Cowgirl and future former Fort Hays State basketball player Telexa Weeder. She won another award yesterday for her incredible season. We will get to, and then we'll get to in just a little bit, our 2026 MLB season predictions. The 2026 MLB season predictions, which I find to be challenging to make MLB season predictions, because I just don't want to talk about, I just don't want to say, it's going to be, I feel pretty confident on who's going to be standing at the end, at least one of the teams. Outside of that, though, you just don't know. And we'll discuss that more in our MLB preseason predictions with, once again, it's not opening day officially. That's actually tomorrow, but with the first game of the season being played tonight between the Yankees and the Giants, we will get to that. I apologize for if my voice kind of cracks or it fades a little bit, or if I have to pause the microphone to cough. Kind of going through some allergy stuff or some head cold things here right now. So I apologize for that. But we will push through here on this Wednesday show. Before we get going today, two things. First, I want to remind FB Bank text line always open at 785-899-2222 if you want to be a part of the show. If you've got thoughts, comments, questions, opinions, anything that you'd like to throw out on the text line, 785-899-2222, the number part of the Morning Blitz here on this March the 25th. Before we get going, I need to make a correction from yesterday's show. So yesterday at the end of the show, I was talking about some changes possibly coming down the pipe for Acacia and with a moratorium change. I got to make a correction there. I was wrong. Acacia is not making this change. It is not a Acacia rule. Acacia will have to follow it, though, because the state is putting this thing in. So this is a state law that, if I read this correctly, and once again, politics are nowhere near my strength. Nowhere near my strength or politics. But it was a bill, Kansas, I think it's Kansas State Bill 515. So it began as a bill to allow homeschool and non-accredited private school students the ability to participate in Acacia-approved private school activities. Was amended by Senate Majority Leader, but also to include a moratorium on interscholastic contests, activities, and practices. So once again, this is a state bill that they are trying to possibly push through that could impact Kansas high school athletics, hence impact Acacia. Acacia has nothing to do with this. They would just be following these rules if it were passed or told or asked to follow these rules. And once again, those rules include a moratorium now, just not on the 5-day period during Christmas, but now a 4-day period ending on Easter, a 7-day period that includes July 4th, which I believe 2 of those are already happening, the July 4th one and the Christmas one. I don't think the Easter one is one at this point in time. I could certainly be wrong there. But then the big changes would be Wednesday evenings from 6 to midnight, you could have nothing going on. And every Sunday, you could have nothing going on. So I was correct on what was going to happen, on what could possibly happen. But I said Acacia was the one changing this. That is incorrect. The state of Kansas is the one that is making the changes here. Acacia will have to follow these rules if it does pass, which I don't know. There's people I'm sure that are going to balk at this, and understandably so. They'll have their opinions for that, and if they want to do so, they need to reach out to their representative, their state representative at this point in time. So once again, my apologies yesterday. I was wrong in saying this was a Acacia update. No, it is actually a state update that Acacia will have to follow. So my apologies for that. All right, let's transition into here. So once again, the Major League Baseball season gets started today with the Yankees and the Giants getting things going. That is a 7:05 Central, 6:05 Mountain Time first pitch from beautiful Oracle Park there in San Francisco. Max Fried and Logan Webb will be on the bump for this first game of the 2026 Major League Baseball season, with opening day to follow on Thursday. But I thought let's do some preseason predictions on how we think the Major League Baseball season is going. And I'm not going to lie, it's a challenge. I think it's very hard to try to predict the Major League Baseball season. Number one is because it's super long, and that could mean a lot of different things. That could mean that you have a team that just dominates throughout the whole thing. And so, once they have the lead, they never relinquish it in their, and by the lead, I mean in their division or in the wild card, for example. Although the wild card races, since he's been expanded, has certainly made things more interesting. So I just kind of was going through and reading up on some stuff and trying to make some predictions and look ahead and see what we could see for the 2026 MLB season. Prediction at this point in time. If you look at a lot of the experts out there, they're sticking a lot with the chalk. I mean, the Dodgers winning the World Series, which I don't know how you couldn't pick against them. They've got the most talented roster and the most expensive roster in the world in baseball. So why would you not pick them to win? And then the question is, who's going to represent the American League? And I've seen a lot of people pick the Yankees at this point in time, which they could have a really good season. But I was trying to go through and kind of just make my predictions on who will be those division winners and who will be in the wild card, and then kind of go from there. So starting with my MLB preseason predictions in the American League. So starting in the East, I do think it's probably a 2-team race between the Yankees and the Red Sox. I don't want to discredit the Blue Jays, who, by the way, did play for a World Series this previous fall. We can't forget about that. And we're just an out or two away or a hit or two away from winning a World Series over the Dodgers, but did not get it done. Or sorry, we're just a couple away from getting a win in that World Series, but did not get it done. So I don't want to discredit the Blue Jays. I think the East, once again, will probably be the cream of the crop when it comes to the American League. I'm going to predict, though, I think the Red Sox get it done out of the East Division. I think at this point in time, I like their pitching depth. They have a nice pitching depth that they have going into this season. If you look at their rotation, it's a very impressive pitching depth there with the Boston Red Sox. You have Garrett Crochet, who was fantastic last year. I think he led Major League Baseball in strikeouts. Sonny Gray's in there. Ranger Suarez has had a good career at other stops. I think he was in Philadelphia most recently. Brian Bayo, who was one of their big developmental guys, they brought it through their system. It's the number 4 guy. They've got good pitching depth. They have Aroldis Chapman, the ageless Aroldis Chapman, closing out games. The lineup is the thing. If it can stay healthy, which that's a big thing for a lot of these teams, if they can stay healthy, it could be really, really good. Because like Trevor Story was having a great year a couple of years ago, got hurt. If he could bounce back, Jaron Duran's been a really good player for them. Wilyer Abreu, and then Roman Anthony's been coming onto the scene here as late, particularly in the World Baseball Classic. He was great as a rookie. He could be even better. He's one of the best prospects in baseball. They got Wilson Contreras, I believe from the Cardinals is where he was most recently. They have the Brewers. So they've added some nice pieces. So I'm going to go with them. But I do think the American League East will be well represented in the upcoming season in the postseason. Moving on to the Central, I'm not a homer. I'm not a homer here, but I do think the Royals can win the Central. I think they can get it done this year. And particularly, once again, with how their top players performed in the World Baseball Classic. If they can continue that momentum, particularly early on in the season, I think the Royals have a great chance of advancing to the postseason and winning the Central Division. I think they can do it. The Tigers are going to be a tough out. They've got a lot of good pieces as well, but I think the Royals can get it done. Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez, Jack Caglione. You want to throw in Maikel Garcia, who was the MVP of the World Baseball Classic. They've got a lot of good pieces, and their pitching staff has been pretty darn good. If they can stay healthy, Cole Reagans, those kind of guys, and they added a little bit more depth in the back end with help in the pitching department, with the relief department, with guys like Matt Strahm and things like that. I like what they did. I think I'm going to predict the Royals to take the Central Division. And then in the West, I think I'm going to roll with the Mariners here. I think they have probably, if not the best, one of the top 3 starting pitching rotations that maybe you've never heard of in a consistent basis, but very, very good pitching rotation there for the Mariners. And their lineup is also very good as well. Julio Rodriguez is still out there. They brought back Josh Naylor. They have a lot of other nice pieces in that lineup as well for the Mariners. Let's try to see who else they have here. J.P. Crawford, Randy Arozarena, some other nice pieces that they have in that lineup there, and I think the Mariners can get it done there in the West. And then in the wild card for the American League, I think we're going to see the Yankees and the Blue Jays, so 3 teams from the East and 1 team from the Central in the Tigers making the postseason. So I've got the Red Sox winning the East, the Royals in the Central, the Mariners in the West, and then my wild cards, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Tigers in the American League for my preseason prediction in that league. The National League, I feel like there are the National League has got some really good teams, and I feel like we're going to see a lot of the same ones represented in the postseason this year. I think in the East, I got to roll with the Phillies. I mean, some people could pick the Braves or even the Mets. I think, once again, the National League East, like the American League East, will have a lot of representation in the postseason. But the Phillies have so many nice pieces to work with. The one big thing for them is, they still have Bryce Harper. They brought back Trey Turner. I want to make sure I got that right. I think it is Trey Turner still there. Trey Turner still there at shortstop with Bryce Harper and Alec Boehm, who's Wichita State guy. Araldis Garcia. They brought in Brandon Marsh. They've got and then of course my favorite guy, Kyle Schwarber, at the designated hitter spot, and they've got a solid rotation. Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez, Jesus Luzardo, lots of good pieces. Johan Duran, it's a closer who's really good. They have a lot of great pieces. I think the Phillies end up taking the National League East. The Central, certainly, I think, is probably going to go to the Cubs. I just don't think that the Reds or the Cardinals have enough at this point in time to compete with the Cubs. The Pirates are definitely improving. They spent some money. They, of course, have probably, if not the best pitcher in baseball, one of the best in Paul Skeens. They do have some nice, I think Connor Griffin is going to make an impact. He's their top prospect, I think, this year. He's going to he'll make some impact at some point in time in the season. And the Brewers are always a very solid club, but I think it's going to be the Cubs that get it done out of that division. They just signed Pete Crow Armstrong to a brand new deal, did the Cubs. And they have a lot of other really good pieces, particularly in the lineup. Ian Happ has been a good player for them. Dansby Swanson, Michael Bush. They have it's not going to say it is like, it's not like it's just a dominant lineup, but it's a very consistent lineup for the Cubs. And so I think they're going to be the team to beat out of the National League Central are the Chicago Cubs. And then the West, I mean, it's obviously, if it's not the Dodgers, then something just absolutely horrible happened. I mean, there was lots of injuries. They weren't able to, ever overcome those injuries, but there's so much talent in the pitching, in the lineup. It's a murderer's row. And so I think it's going to be very, very tough for anybody to knock off the Dodgers out of the West. And so I think they're probably going to take the West. And then, I do think the West gets another team into the postseason, the wild card. I think the Padres probably get in there. Jackson Merrill's been a great piece for them, and Fernando Tatis is there, and Xander Bogaerts. They've got a really good lineup. If their pitching can hold up, which I know is a little bit of a question mark, I think the Padres have a really good chance of making the postseason. And then I think the Braves, who continue to have really good pieces. The thing about the Braves is they're going to have to make a late push, I think. They have great starting pitching, Spencer Strider and Spencer Schwellenbach and some other really good starters. The problem is that they're all hurt going into the beginning of the season. They should be back at some point in time. The question is, can they just hold down the fort until we get to until they get back? If they can, if the team can, I think you're going to see the Braves make a push to make the postseason to the wild card. I think the Mets are going to be in there as well. I know the Mets have always been a team that have underperformed despite spending a whole bunch of money. This year it was kind of interesting. They went out and they kind of cut a lot of fat from last year's team, but were able to bring in some nice pieces. Freddie Peralta is going to be one of their top starting pitchers. Luke Weaver and Devin Williams are going to be in the bullpen, which are some nice pieces that just came across I don't even know what it would be, just down the street in the Yankees. But then you've got they got Marcus Semien and Bo Bichette in the middle of that infield with Francisco Lindor. That's a pretty darn good spot there. Juan Soto is there in the outfield. So they've got some really nice pieces. And so once again, if the Mets can stay healthy, I think they have a really good shot of making the postseason as a wild card. And then my final wild, so I've got the Padres, the Mets, and the Braves as my wild card teams in the National League. I still think you're probably going to see the Dodgers win the World Series. I just don't see why you wouldn't. Who they take out, I'm going to put the Mariners in there. I'm going to say Dodgers, Mariners in the World Series, with the Dodgers getting it done. That's going to be my prediction at this point in time. So there you go. As for American League and National League MVPs, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, more than likely, National League MVP is going to be Shohei Ohtani. He looked great yesterday. I think in some innings pitched, what do you have? I think 11 strikeouts in his last start before the regular season. He was nuts. So I think Shohei will probably win that. And the AL MVP, probably Aaron Judge. We'll see if someone can surpass him, but that's probably where it's going to be. And then Tariq Skubal in the American League, always a good prediction for AL Pitcher of the Year. And NL could probably go to Shohei Ohtani, possibly. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. It's once again, baseball predictions are never really my super strength, just because it's a long season. You just don't know what's going to happen, who's going to remain healthy, who's not, who gets off. I always think in baseball, you need to get off to a pretty decent start. You don't want to start the year off, with just a 2-5 record because you got a lot of work to dig out of that. So I always think you got to start the year off with a pretty darn good start. If you get yourself off to a good start, then you can set the pace for the rest of the season. All right, there you go. MLB preseason predictions as they get set to open up the season tonight with the Yankees and the Giants, and then MLB opening day officially tomorrow with all of the teams getting going. All right, let's get to our first break. When we come back, we will be joined on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream by our good friend Bryce Kessler, Executive Director from the Kansas Shrine Bowl. He will join us to talk about the Kansas Shrine Duels next, so stick around. Plenty more to get to here on a Wednesday edition of the Morning Blitz.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware probably has it. They even have milk. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Tom Saludo with the Anderson Trade Group with your overnight market report on March 25th. In the overnight session, May corn was down 2 at 460, July down 1.5 at 470.5, and Sep corn down 2 at 473. May soybeans up 3 at 1158.5, July up 3.5 at 1175.25. August soybeans up 2.5 at 1169. May KC hard red wheat was down 2 at 602, July KC down 2 at 617.5, and Sep KC down 2 at 632. The Dow Jones is currently up 425 points at 46,842. The S&P is up 56 points at 6,662. NASDAQ is up 240 points at 24,455. Gold is up 145 points at 4,550 an ounce. Silver is slightly up at 73 an ounce, and crude oil is down 4% at 88.5 a barrel. If you're in the Colorado area and have any grant to market or risk management questions, please call John Hanke or John Stiles at 970-744-4484. Or you can call the Overland Park office, myself, Tom Saludo, Jared Law, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-2000. Thank you.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades. Saturday night, June 27th, 2026. An incredible evening at the Colby Event Center. NWKS Radio presents Colin Ray in concert.
And between now and then, until I see you again, I'll be loving you.
Colin Ray's biggest country hits.
Love me. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Tickets available now at nwksradio.net. nwksradio.net. Get them now.
That's when I knew you were my kind of girl.
Country music legend Colin Ray, Saturday night, June 27th, 2026, at the Colby Event Center, presented by NWKS Radio.
Whether it's touchdowns, home runs, or buzzer beaters, we've got you covered. It's the Morning Blitz.
We're back here on a Wednesday, March the 25th. Once again, going to be a hot one today. Temperatures into the 90s more than likely. Right now, 55, a little overcast in northwest Kansas. We will get to some college baseball results and more awards for Goodland native Telexa Weeder in our third segment of the day. And a big-time college basketball job is open as well. We'll get to that coming up in the third segment. We're pleased to be joined now, though, on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. Good friend and, of course, executive director of the Kansas Shrine Bowl. There he is, the handsome Bryce Kessler. Good morning, sir. How are we doing today?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. How about yourself? I know you're doing well. Go Big Red.
That's right. That's right.
They've got you flying high right now.
You know what? The funny thing is people ask me, like, how are you feeling about this? I'm like, I honestly would have felt a whole lot better if Florida would have beat Iowa, because if Nebraska has to lose, if Nebraska ends their season to Iowa in the Sweet 16 and we got to lose to those people again, it's going to be that's a tough pill. It's like a double-edged sword. Like, I'm so excited that they've made it this far, but if they don't beat Iowa, it kind of makes it sad.
Yeah, well, that sounds like the mindset and the attitude of a program that's never been there before. So,
Facts. Guess what? They've never been here before. So facts.
That's what I said. They need to change that GBR to ADT about damn time.
Well, what can I say? It's it was pretty neat to witness it live and in person. So that was pretty cool to see that down in Oklahoma City. But
I bet.
So that was pretty cool for sure. And anyway, Bryce Kessler, our guest here. Before we get started on the Kansas Front, how do you feel about your fantasy baseball team? We play in a fantasy baseball league, and Bryce is like, 5-time defending champ. How are you feeling about your squad heading into opening day here?
I like it. I like the team I was able to draft this weekend. I'm looking forward to defending my title. 9 years. The league's been going on 9 years. I played in the championship 8 of those 9 years, 5 titles. So not that I'm counting.
No, we know.
I love fantasy baseball, man. I love baseball season. I'm excited for opening night on Netflix. That's weird to say that, but I'm excited for baseball season. I love me some baseball.
Yeah. Did you get a new office area? It looks new there. You got some new stuff, or just rearrange some things?
No, there may be some new additions back there. I'm not sure from the last time. It's not a new office. It probably just looks better because I'm at my computer. I couldn't get my microphone to work, so I'm actually using my phone. So it's actually like high definition camera. Whereas normally I'm on the computer and it's like, it won't even in the video settings, it won't even allow me to go to the high setting because your camera's not good enough for this. So I just look like oh well. So it probably just looks nicer this time around. So.
Okay. Well, it looks good. Yeah, it looks real nice. So. Big weekend ahead, the Kansas Shrine Duels. Though this is not the Shrine Bowl. I mean, the Shrine Bowl, I feel like, is this massive thing, but the Kansas Shrine Duels has become a very big thing. Can you talk about how much it has grown from kind of that first year you were doing it to where you are going into this weekend?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're right. It's a whole different animal as far as the manpower and I don't want to say the work, because I mean, we used to put a lot of work into it, but as far as it's a one-day thing, whereas Shrine Bowl, it's a week-long camp. You got football camps at 2 different places. You got a band camp, a cheer camp, and all the things that go along with it. So there's a lot that goes into the planning of the football side of it. And the Shrine Bowl in the summer, this was a lot easier of a lift, I guess you could say. But no doubt it's growing, and I'm really excited to see this weekend what the turnout is. Down in Wichita, it's year 3, and it started out year 1. It's like, let's take some of these Shrine Bowl traditions, this East versus West tradition, and put it on a wrestling mat. And it was awesome that first year. We were up against some national wrestling competitions in the state of Kansas that week. It was spring break weekend that we had on the back end of, and there was a lot of different things going on with that. And we were still, I mean, the turnout was awesome, and it was such a great year 1 event that no doubt we were going to run it back. And then last year, in our second year of it, improved just like anything. You kind of learn what worked, what didn't work, how you want to tweak things a little bit from year 1 to year 2. And so it was even better. And now this year we're excited to see, what year 3 has in store. And we got a great group of wrestlers that are going to come down to Wichita this weekend and showcase some of the great wrestling talent from across this great state. And, the KWCA, they do a tremendous job, Kansas Wrestling Coaches Association, of making that side of it happen. and bringing in the wrestlers to put on a great show, and of course do it all for a great cause, which the Shrine Bowl's so well known for. More than a game was kind of the slogan for the Shrine Bowl, and we kind of adopted that for the Shrine Duels, more than a match, taking on that same kind of a thing. And it's all about raising money, raising awareness for Shriners Children's Hospital, and helping out these kids and these families who benefit from the services of Shriners Children's. And so we're really looking forward to this weekend. I think it's going to be our biggest turnout yet. One, just because it's year 3 and the word of mouth has just grown, obviously, on the event. But 2, this is the first time, I would say, in these 3 years where we're kind of unopposed by other major wrestling events. Of course, wrestling, it's one of those things, and there's always some wrestling tournament going on. These kids can go all over the place and wrestle every weekend, I think, if they want. But, last year we were on the same weekend as the Heartland Duels as well, which is a great event that a lot of Kansas kids go wrestle at. They take multiple Team Kansas squads up there to that, and Council Bluffs, Iowa and stuff. So we're not up against that same competition this weekend, this time around. So I think that'll free up both some of the wrestlers who we lost last year, maybe that we're going to go compete in that one, but also just fans that might have come and wanted to take in the Shrine Duels. And then last year, they had, because that Heartland Duels, I mean, it runs from high school kids all the way down to little kids, so there were families that may have come and took in the Shrine Duels, but had youngsters wrestling up there or something like that. So I think it's going to be a great turnout at Fugate Gymnasium there on the campus of Newman University in Wichita. And I have no doubt that the wrestling itself will be awesome. I mean, we've got 20 plus state champions in the field, over 30 state finalists, 55 or so state medalists in the field this year out of the 60 some wrestlers. So, I mean, it's going to be the best of the best, all seniors, of course, just like the Shrine Bowl, and East versus West, and split 1-1, East 1 year 1, West 1 year 2. So rubber match here in year 3. So looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking at the rosters, this looks to be about as deep a roster for both the East and the West that I've seen for the Kansas Shrine Duels. Like, there's more competition coming in this one than maybe we've ever seen.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think some of that's just because there's not as much competition for other events this weekend, so it freed up some of the kids that last year may have gone and competed at the Heartland Duels, who now accepted the invite to come and wrestle in the Shrine Duels. And I think it's just like anything, it takes some time to kind of the word of mouth of the event. And so you've got kids who wrestled in it the first 2 years, who have friends, obviously, from their team that were underclassmen in years prior, that they were like, hey, I went and wrestled in this and had a great experience, because it is more than just the wrestling. We want to treat these kids like true all-stars, because that's what they are. I mean, they're the best of the best, but also they're all-stars in our eyes because they're doing something that's bigger than themselves. They're taking their talents as tremendous athletes, tremendous students and athletes, and they're taking those talents and putting them on display and doing it for a bigger cause, doing it not for themselves. A lot of these kids, when they wrestle, they go on the mat for themselves every week in, week out, or for their high school teams, obviously, as well. And this is maybe one of those times where now they're getting to do it. Obviously they want to go out there and win. They're competitors. They have that competitive juice and that wants to go out in there and win this match. But they also, hopefully, by the time this weekend's over for them, they realize, what they're doing is much bigger than just a wrestling match, and they're being a part of a bigger cause, of a bigger purpose, to help raise money for these kids. And they get to meet these kids during the hospital experience. That'll be on Saturday morning. When we get them in there, we'll check them in. They'll have a little kind of practice time with the coaches, meet with their coaches and stuff. And then they get to go through the hospital experience and meet these patient ambassadors, hear their stories, do some interactive activities with them. And that's where it kind of all sets in for them. And the same thing when it comes to Shrine Bowl week. And so, I think that helps as well, because we've got alumni now from the first 2 years who are telling their teammates, hey, if you get the opportunity, go be a part of this, because it is great wrestling, but it's also a great experience. And that's what we want to create, is a great experience, so where these kids, their families, not only have fun with this, but they become advocates as well. And they become knowledgeable about what Shriners do, what the Shriners Hospital is about, and how that could potentially change somebody's life down the road that they come across, whether it's a kid of their own, whether it's a family member, a friend, somebody that they come across that has a child that's been told that, hey, you're not going to be able to ever write your name. You're never going to be able to walk or run or play sports. And it's like, oh no, that's not, you don't have to take that for the answer. Let's find out a way to make that sure that's not the case for that kid. So that these folks become advocates for that as well. And they can be like, hey, go talk to a Shriner, let's see about that. And You don't have to worry about cost. You don't have to worry about how you're going to travel to the hospital, or how you're going to stay there for multiple nights, or whether you got insurance or not, or what it's going to be. None of that matters. Let's get you taken care of, and let's make sure these kids have the opportunity to live life to the fullest.
Once again, we are visiting with Bryce Kessler. He's the executive director of the Shrine Bowl, but we are talking about the Shrine Duels that'll be taking place here on Saturday on the campus of Newman University at Fugate Gymnasium, where once again, they've got a very good selection of just fantastic wrestlers that'll be there competing in these duels. You kind of touched on it a little bit. This is nothing like the Shrine Bowl where, guys come in for a whole week. You got to practice a whole bunch. This is more of, we come in, we maybe have a quick practice, and then we go on to everything else. How much coaching from a coach's perspective is done in these type of dual scenarios like we're going to experience on Saturday?
Well, I'm probably not the guy to coach or to ask, because
right.
I could tell you the first thing about coaching a wrestling match. I wrestled 1 year, 7th grade. I can still tell you the name of the kid I beat for my first win. I won't, because he's a Northwest Kansas kid, and I ain't gonna throw that shade today. Who knows? But family around or whatever. But no, it's I'm not knowledgeable much on the wrestling. From a lead up standpoint, obviously it's not like football. You don't have to put in plays and things like that. I mean, these kids, wrestling is an individual sport. Obviously there's the team element to it. Yes, when it comes to the competitions, but as far as on the mat, I mean, it's you and your opponent. It's all on you, man. And so, in the pre-match practice, there's nothing really to practice, so to speak. These kids are veterans of this sport. They've been wrestling since they've been in diapers, pretty much, most of these kids. I mean, that's why they're the best of the best. But during the match, obviously, that's where certainly the coaching matters. And we've got great coaches. We got state championship coaches on both sides. Coach Brockelman and Coach Lappin from Norton, Billy Brockelman from Norton, and Paul Lappin from Garden City are the West coaches, both state championship leading coaches. And then on the east side, it's actually the duo of Tonganoxie coaches, Adam Ludwin from Tongi, and then Brett Delich, also from Tongi, the girls and guys coach there at Tonganoxie, both state champion coaches as well. So, as I would imagine anyway, once that action starts, certainly the kid out there competing, a lot of it's on them, and a lot of happens quick, but there's obviously a lot of coaching that can be done. Seeing this little thing here, seeing what your opponent may or may not be doing or being susceptible to, and those kind of things. And these kids are so coachable because they're so good. I mean, I imagine as a coach, it's got to be kind of a coach's dream, because you can say, hey, I'm seeing this or I'm seeing that, and they'll most likely adapt right to what you're coaching them to do, because they're just, again, these are the best of the best. They're state champion caliber kids across the board in this thing. So yeah, it's just different because you don't have to have the practice. You don't have to put in plays. You don't have to really, the sad part about it is, unfortunately, that's the great thing about on the football side. They have to have the practice time, obviously, but that week of camp allows these guys to create bonds with each other, and those bonds last far beyond the week that they spend at Shrine Bowl camp. I just heard a story this weekend. I was out in Wichita for our Midian player banquet, and one of the parents was saying that their son, who played in the game, a bunch of the guys who were on that same team, they still get together. This is 5 years down the road. They still get together and will spend the night at each other's house, lead up to a tailgating for a college football game or something. They still get together. They get to create those bonds. Unfortunately, these kids are just together for a week on the wrestling side. Now, a lot of these guys and girls already know each other because, again, they wrestle in so many of these different events. And there's always downtime when it comes to wrestling events. There's plenty of that. So they get a chance to they already kind of know each other and that kind of thing. But, I wish we could bring them together for a whole week and have them hang out. Obviously, we're still in school. So the school will probably frown on me saying, hey, we're going to pull your kids out for a week. And then, spring break, I guess you could do it. But then again, these kids want to have fun. They're seniors. They want to go out, have fun on spring break also. So, so I still think there's a little bit of that. And even in one day's time, they get a chance to kind of bond together and really the hospital experience, goes to those activities and having to be there. A lot of them are like team oriented type things that I think that creates some of those bonds with these kids as well, because it puts them, it puts these great athletes in uncomfortable positions where they're having to simulate things that a lot of our children are going through and not having the full use of their hands or their legs and things like that. And so I think it's one of those things that's kind of a challenging thing for a lot of these kids, because everything's come easy athletically and those kind of things to a lot of these kids. And so that's a fun thing for them to have to go through and experience and really kind of sets that bond as well going through this.
Bryce Kessler, once again, our guest, executive director of the Shrine Bowl. Not to take anything away from the Shrine Duels this weekend, How is the process in getting ready for the Shrine Bowl going as you sit here on March the 25th?
It's coming up fast. I'll say that. It's one of those things you blink and all of a sudden it was like, oh, high school football season just ended, didn't it? No, now basketball season and wrestling season are already over too. And for like this 2.5 weeks leading up to wrestling, that's kind of like all my attention's on that. So I feel like I'm still like, it's into February. We're good still. We were way off from the Shrine Bowl. And then I go in wrestling mode and then that's over and now it's April. So then it's like, oh, here we go. But it's going really well, the planning for that. I mean, a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're going back to Emporia. We were just there in 2024. So a lot of the groundwork has already been laid in that planning. It's a little easier to just rinse and repeat a lot of those kind of things when it comes to lining up the dorms and the meals and everything like that goes into it. So a lot of moving pieces. It's far from being finished, but we're excited about the group of young men that we have on the football side as well. Cheer camp registrations are going on. It looks like, not to put the cart ahead of the horse, but it looks like we may end up with our biggest cheer camp ever, which is going to be awesome. And of course the band camp, which is always a big band camp, and looking forward to that, the halftime show and everything that the band puts on. So things are going well on that front. We're excited to be back in Emporia there at Welch Stadium for the next 3 years to play the Shrine Bowl. And I have no doubt that, it's going to be hot because it always is Shrine Bowl week, but I have no doubt it's going to be an awesome week again for that as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Were you doing some PA for the state champion Baldwin basketball teams this year?
I did a little bit at the end of the season. They needed to fill in, and I said, I've been on a mic a few times. I guess I can and help you guys out. That was awesome.
You're saying you were the good luck charm.
Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna take credit for that. I'm certainly happy that if I was a bit of a good luck charm that it worked out, because I tell you what, I mean, I'm biased, obviously, living here in Baldwin and getting to watch a lot of those young men on that team from the time they were, pre-high school kids and now state champions as seniors, and Coach Blanchett and Coach Carr, Coach Treebom, Coach Blakely on that staff as well. But Donnie and Pete, I mean, two gentlemen that I just love, man. Those are, talk about, tremendous coaches, not only of the game of basketball, but just leaders of those young men. And, again, I'm biased, but honestly, there couldn't be a better group to deserving of a state championship than that group. And they went through a lot of ups and downs this year, and even within games. I mean, I think every one of their state tournament games, they trailed in the second half at one point and came back and won all of them. I mean, that was a lot of fun. And we're actually having a rewatch party of the state championship game on Sunday here at the Performing Arts Center in Baldwin. And Ryan Hilmer, of course, everybody knows Ryan. So Ryan Hilmer, I don't know if you knew this, right? He's the voice of Baldwin Bulldogs on Baldwin Sports Live.
You told me this, yes.
Yeah, so I used to do that, obviously. As everybody back there knows, I dipped my foot in the play-by-play world once in a time, and so I reached out to Ryan back early on in my time doing Baldwin Sports Live, and brought him on board as my number 2 guy. And he was running camera and doing some color for me. And then when I kind of stepped away from doing that full time, I handed the reins to Ryan, because he does an awesome job. And so he's become the full-time voice of the Baldwin Bulldogs on Baldwin Sports Live and all the way through the state championship. And had a tremendous call, by the way, of that game. It was really, really fun to listen to him on that call. And so he's going to MC it, and they're going to have the kind of like one of those the game we playing with, and they'll have like the live coaches commentary and be up there on the mics with Ryan, kind of talk about this. It's going to be a lot of fun and a celebration of those guys and that team. And so so I was able to sit down there courtside, do PA for the last home game, and then there are a couple of sub-state games, and try to bring a little bit extra to the gym on those nights. And hey, if I can take a little credit for pushing them through, I will. But no, it was a lot of fun.
Or is it a big 3-pointer?
Right. That's right. I had to hit him with a few of those, and get it going. Unfortunately, the gym was so loud that the sub-state championship night. Game came right down to the wire, a game-winning bucket at the very end. I mean, it was so loud in there that I don't know that anybody could hear what I was saying anyway on the PA, because it was a packed full gym, and they were rocking that night.
Absolutely. Once again, Executive Director of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, Bryce Kessler. Bryce, it's always great, my friend, for you to join the program. Best of luck this weekend, and continued best of luck on preparing for the Shrine Bowl coming up this summer. We'll have you back on prior to that.
I appreciate it, man. Always a pleasure to join you.
All right. See you, buddy. Once again, there is Bryce Kessler, our good friend from the Kansas Shrine Bowl, Executive Director He is doing a great job with that whole entire situation, has been for a long time. Everything that they've done, it just seems to kind of grow and get better and better. And, boy, they've got a great roster of a lot of local athletes coming to the Shrine Duels here this weekend. You've got, I noticed like St. Francis's Cheyenne Labarge is going, Oakley's Callie Wagner, as well as Abigail Jackson, a few of the ladies within our list, a couple of Norton wrestlers as well, going on the ladies' side and on the boys' side too. Hoxie's Ian Giancola is going to go as well and compete in this too. So a lot of great local area and regional wrestlers competing for the West in the 2026 KWCA Shrine Duels there. Once again, that's going to be this Saturday, Fugit Gymnasium, Newman University in Wichita. Gates open at 1, and the opening ceremony begin at 2 o'clock. You can get your information and tickets at www.kansasshrineduels.com. All right, we're going to get to a timeout. When we come back, we'll wrap the show with some final thoughts next. This is The Blitz.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
We've been serving ag families for generations because we believe farming isn't just a job, it's a legacy. Whether you're just starting out or expanding your operation, F&B Bank has flexible lending solutions designed for you. This is Loan Officer Kennedy Frank at F&B Bank. We're proud to be your hometown ag lender, member FDIC.
At Eklund Insurance, they understand your unique needs. Whether you're a farmer protecting your farm and ranch, or you need commercial or personal insurance for your home, health, or auto, the team at Eklund Insurance has you covered. Their consultative approach ensures you get the best advice tailored to your situation. They shop around for the best insurance products, so you don't have to. Eklund Insurance, your trusted partner in comprehensive coverage. Stop by today to talk to one of their agents at 1628 Caldwell Avenue in Goodland.
Get ready for the 10th annual Shilling Cattle Production Sale that's happening Wednesday, March 25th at 1 p.m. Central Time in Brewster, Kansas. We're selling 50 Angus bulls, 2 Linflex bulls, and 20 Angus heifers. Big, stout, performance-driven cattle with an excellent selection of Calvin Ease bulls. You can check out the cattle on Facebook at Shilling Cattle and watch the sale live on DV Auction. Come see great cattle, meet great people, and enjoy some fantastic food. Mark your calendar now for the Shilling Cattle Production Sale on Wednesday, March 25th.
Sports talk that's fast, fresh, and always on point.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
This is the Morning Blitz.
All right, just a couple minutes left to go before we get out of here on this Wednesday show. Thanks again to Bryce Kessler for spending some time with us, talk about the Kansas Shrine Duels coming up here on Saturday. Missed any of that conversation, go back and check out the podcast, anywhere you can get your podcast and listen to it there. In baseball last night, a couple of KU and K-State both in action last night. KU winning 11-1 by the run rule over Sacramento State. They had Tyson LeBlanc had 2 home runs, including a 3-run walk-off shot to get that one done in the run rule. Jayhawks, by the way, are now 16-8, and they've scored 68 runs during a 6-game win streak. They have been really playing good here as of late. K-State dropped a high-scoring game to Nebraska 14-9 last night at Toyton Family Stadium. Wildcats were down early and erased a 6-run deficit, but when we're up 8-6, but Nebraska came back in the end and got it done. Midweek games, I was watching some of that game. The pitching is just questionable. You're trying to get a lot of young guys in there, trying to get some experience on those arms, see what you have, and you just see either a lot of runs scored or a lot of walked base, a lot of bases given up, whether it's hit pitches or balls, and you see a lot of that happening. Also yesterday, 42nd Northwest softball lost at Northeastern. They lost 20-0 and 14-1. They have now lost 20 in a row. They're back at home today against Hutch this afternoon at the Tiger Softball Complex. If you want to make your way over to that, should be a beautiful day for it. And Colby Community College softball on the road in Great Bend. They take on Barton here this afternoon. Does Colby Community College, the Jayhawk Conference leading Lady Trojans at this point in time in softball. And we will have their coach, Jennifer Esparza, on with us tomorrow. She will join us tomorrow on the program to talk about the great start to this 2026 season for them. And, of course, the accolades, postseason accolades continue to roll in for Telexa Weeder. She was named the Division II CAA, the D2 CAA National Player of the Year, and a first-team All-American after leading the nation in scoring at Division II at 27.5 points per game. Her 852 total points broke a 20-year-old MIAA record and one of the top scoring seasons in Division II history. And she became the first player in MIAA history to surpass 800 points in a season and set both school and league records for scoring average. So the postseason accolades, well-deserved, and continue to roll in for Telex Weeder, who once again is in the transfer portal and be looking to play at the Division I level next season. But congratulations to Telex. And I'm still in the process. I got to get a hold of her again and see if she'll join us on the show sometime here in the coming weeks to talk about her amazing 2025-26 campaign.
And back lifts his ball deep to right. How about a walk-off Brady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
One of the top three, I'd say, if not top two, college basketball jobs is open. Yesterday, North Carolina, quote-unquote, parted ways with Hubert Davis, who was later found out that they fired Hubert Davis to be the head coach of North Carolina, who his team was knocked out in the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament, in the first round, against the VCU they lost. So a new head coach is coming to UNC. They can pretty much have their pick of the litter. As odds now look to be either like Dusty May at Michigan or Todd Golden at Florida. There's Tommy Lloyd over at Arizona. There's a lot of those big name guys are going to be pursued, I would assume. I know who I'd go after, and I don't think it'd be any of those guys. Those guys have some pretty big buyouts. There's some other ones out there with some smaller buyouts that you might be able to get that I think are going to be really good if you can see in the future. But North Carolina, they want to get that program up to its dominating level, and we'll see who they go after. I'm guessing it's going to be a pretty big name in men's college basketball. All right, that does it for the program today. Thanks to Bryce Kessler. As always, thanks to you, the listener. We're back tomorrow in 23 hours. Hope you'll join us for another edition of the Morning Blitz.